まり出した白い闇切り裂く翼になれ
Alright, I hope you're ready to learn your first lesson in Japanese writing. We're going to start with the kana, which is the best way to start, and we are going to learn our basic sounds. A, I, U, E, and O. All the other sounds in Japanese base themselves off of these 5 basic sounds, and unlike the vowel sounds in English, they never change. So, let's begin. What you see before you right now is a kana. It's a hiragana, and it's a. If you don't remember what a hiragana is, you can look back at the introduction video. So, I can't expect you to just look at something and know immediately how to draw it, especially when it comes to Japanese characters. So, let's begin. First, we have to make a straight horizontal line. It's pretty straight, it's sort of slanted. It's pretty basic. That wasn't so bad. Let's go for the next stroke. Make a line down, curving a little bit toward the right, and it makes a bit of a cross. Make it kind of big, because we're going to fit something huge down there. And now for that big last stroke. Make a big line, curve it around, like that. Okay. You got that down? Copy it a few times. The main idea here is to know in which direction the lines are drawn and in what order they're drawn. These are skills that you ought to learn how to develop because when we start to learn the kanji, these become very important. With the kana, you can get away with quite a bit of stuff. Don't try it. Get used to drawing things in the right direction, the right order, and most importantly, the right way. This one is the same sound, but this is the katakana, which is used differently, but it means the same thing. It means nothing more, nothing less than the sound ah. You might notice that the lines in this katakana are a little straighter. Hiragana tend to have longer, curvier strokes. The katakana tend to have sharper, shorter, straighter strokes. The first stroke is a bit of a curve. It might almost look like 2 lines, but it's 1. Your pen does not lift itself for this stroke. You just make that curve like that. And then you make an almost horizontal, but curving significantly over to the left. It doesn't have to touch your first line. If it does, that's perfectly fine. This is ah. That's the only way you ever write the sound ah. So there you go, your first sound in Japanese, both in hiragana and katakana. We're not going to stop there. Next up is I. This is I in hiragana. It's pretty simple. You make the line like that, kind of like a backwards J, and then you make a line like that. Pretty simple. Most people just get sloppy with their E's, so make it kind of neat. It looks like there's a lot of space in between. There doesn't have to be. Just make sure they're separate, and that they make shapes that are akin to that. Okay, let's keep going. This is I in katakana. It's also pretty simple. You make a downward line going from the right and going down to the left. And then you make a straight line kind of in the middle, but more to the right. Same sound, just katakana. Now we go to the next sound. Ah, I is followed by U. Okay, here's U. U is pretty simple. You make a line like that, not exactly horizontal, just slanting a little bit, kind of like a dash. Really, that's essentially what it is. Then you make an elongated backwards lowercase c. And then you have an u. Note that the c is beneath the little dash, and it's drawn in the same direction as the dash. Now we have the katakana u. The katakana u doesn't look quite so friendly, but it's really not that bad. First, you make that little line on top. Nice, short, not a problem. It looks like the rest might be one stroke to you. It's not. First, before you make the rest of that C-looking thing, you have to make the little line on the far left, separate from the rest. Then make your longer line, and that's the last stroke. That's 3 separate strokes. 1 on top, 2 to the far left, and 3 connecting from the one at the far left all the way down. The next one is a little more daunting when you look at it first. This is eh. Yeah. Would you believe it's 2 strokes? Well, the good news is it starts off looking exactly like oo. But the rest of that is 1 single stroke. You can't lift your pen doing this. And that's what it looks like. That's the path your pen should follow. You might not want to leave quite so much space between your lines. Really, you should ride up the line you just made after making that 7, go up, branch off to the right a little, and then curl down and level off. And then you're going to make a stellar eh. The katakana eh is considerably easier. It's pretty straightforward. Horizontal line on top, vertical line going right down the middle, making a T, and then you make a longer horizontal line on bottom. A little longer than the one you made on the top. And now we move on to our last sound. The last sound is o. This might look a little bit like ah to you, but by now you should realize that it really isn't, especially when you see the strokes. You start off with a small horizontal line, not quite as large as the one you made in ah. Then the rest of that is 1 big stroke. You go down, loop a little to the left, and swing around to the right. And then you make a little dash, right above that big thing on the right. The katakana o is relatively straightforward, but it might be a tiny bit confusing. You make a nice, good, long horizontal line, really horizontal, nice and straight. Then you go down and go to the left just a smidge. My stroke there might look a little odd, but that is essentially what you're doing. You make a little dip to the left, going up just the tiniest bit. And then that last stroke, you go basically right to the intersection of those 2 points of your cross, and you make a long, slightly curving line over to the left. And that's a katakana o. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You have just learned your first 5 sounds in Japanese. A, I, U, E, and O. That's it in the middle in romaji. And that's it on top, hiragana. That's it on the bottom, katakana. And you just learned that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That is the easy stuff. We'll get on to a little more easy stuff later on tomorrow, so be ready. This is Angel of Crepusculence signing off.